All right, let's just jump right in. We've all been there, right? You finish cleaning up, you flip that switch by the sink, and instead of that familiar whir, you get something else. Or maybe just nothing. A broken garbage disposal is such a headache, but today we're going to turn that frustration into a clear plan. So listen closely. What sound is your disposal actually making? Is it that low, angry hum? A really loud, kind of scary grinding noise? Or is it just dead silent? Believe it or not, each one of those sounds is a clue. And in this explainer, we are going to become kitchen detectives and figure out exactly what's going on.
But hold on. Before we even think about what's wrong, we have to talk about the most important thing, your safety. This is the one step you absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, skip. Seriously, stop. Before you peek under that sink, before you grab a single tool, there is one thing you have to do first.
That's the one. You need to go to your home's breaker box and completely cut the power to the disposal. You might be thinking, why not just the wall switch? Well, because switches can fail, and you never, ever want to risk that unit kicking on while you're working on it. And please, it should go without saying, but don't put your hands or any tools down into the disposal chamber. Okay, now that the power is safely off, we can start our investigation. And here's the good news. A lot of disposal problems are actually caused by really simple, everyday things that are pretty easy to fix. So let's look at the usual suspects.
You know, it's funny how often the solution is right here. Shoving too much food down at once, trying to grind up stringy stuff like celery or, accidentally dropping a spoon in there, those are the classic ways to cause a jam. But the easiest fix of all? Look underneath the disposal unit itself. You're looking for a small red or black button. That's the reset. Go ahead and push it firmly. That might be all it takes.
So let's say you've checked for jams and you've hit that reset button. You've gone back to the breaker, turned the power on, just for a quick test. Okay, now listen really, really closely. What sound does it make when you flip that switch? This is our next big clue. So here are the two main roads our investigation can go down. If you get total silence, it's almost certainly a power issue. Maybe the breaker tripped again or the wall switch itself went bad. But if you hear a hum or a buzz, that's actually kind of good news. It means the motor is getting power, but something is physically blocking it from spinning. It's jammed. Now, beyond just the sounds, your disposal is giving you other important clues. Leaks, weird smells, constant clogs. These aren't just little annoyances. They're specific symptoms that tell a much deeper story about the real health of your unit. Let's tackle one of the messiest problems, finding a puddle of water under your sink. A leak can seem like a disaster, but where it's coming from and how bad it is, that tells us a whole lot. So what you need to figure out is if this is a minor drip or a major problem. See, a small leak might just be a worn-out seal or a gasket that needs to be replaced. That's a pretty simple fix. But if you have a leak that just won't quit, especially if it's coming from the very bottom of the unit, that's a bad sign. It often means the internal housing is cracked, and at that point, replacement is pretty much always the smarter, safer bet. Okay, this next clue is one you have to take very seriously. If you flip that switch and you get that nasty electrical burning smell, that is a major red flag. Think of this as your disposal screaming for help. That smell means the motor is overheating or there's a serious electrical issue inside. Don't even think about running it again. Turn the power off at the breaker and leave it off. It's time to call in a pro. So what if your problem isn't some dramatic sound or smell, but just that it's bad at its job? It seems to jam all the time, or the sink just takes forever to drain. This is another really important piece of the puzzle. Look, a one-time clog, it happens to the best of us. But if you're down there clearing jams every other week, that is not normal. That's a pattern. And it's telling you that the blades are probably worn down and the motor just isn't strong enough anymore. The unit is basically saying, I'm tired and I'm ready for retirement. All right. We've gathered all our clues, the sounds, the leaks, the smells, its whole performance history. Now it's time to put it all together and make the big decision. Do we try to repair this thing, or is it time for a brand new one? This basically lays out a clear decision tree for you. A repair makes sense for a newer unit with a simple one-off problem like a jam. But replacement is the obvious choice when you're dealing with those serious issues, a dead motor, a major leak, or if the unit is just plain old and is constantly giving you problems. And here it is, the bottom line. It all comes down to the money. Get a quote for the repair. If that cost is even close to the price of a brand new disposal, just replace it. It's a no-brainer. You get a new warranty, way better performance, and peace of mind knowing you won't be dealing with this again in 6 months. So, whether you've decided to repair or replace,
you're probably going to be calling a plumber. And with all this info we've gathered, you can make that call go so much smoother, which saves you both time and money. Here's your final checklist.
Before you even pick up the phone, have the answers to these 4 things ready. Was it humming or was it silent? Where's the leak coming from, the top or the bottom? Did that reset button do anything at all? And is this the first time it's clogged or the 10th? Trust me, this information is gold to a technician.
And that's really the key, isn't it? When you give them these details, you're not just some person with a broken appliance. You're an informed homeowner. The plumber can show up with a really clear idea of what's wrong and maybe even have the right parts or a whole new unit ready to go on that first trip.
And there you have it. We took a really annoying kitchen problem and broke it down into a simple, logical process. You now know how to check it out safely, how to decode what it's telling you, and how to make a smart decision that's good for your wallet. So based on everything you just learned, what's the right move for your kitchen?